Hi, guys.
Hello. Welcome back to the Moms and Moms podcast, a podcast for moms chasing goals through all seasons of life. I am Shanna.
I'm Olivia. I'm sorry, I
And
muted.
we have a guest, Gabriella, which we'll introduce her here in a second. We're bringing you training tips, mom plus expert interviews, and the kind of best friend banter that makes you feel like you're on a run with us. Whether it's your first 5K or your next marathon or a stroller tempo, we've got your miles and your sanity. We appreciate it if you can rate, subscribe, and share our podcast with another fellow mama.
And I have the everyday hero shout out. Okay, sorry. I'm making sure I'm not muted. Every time I start talking, if it's not Charlotte now, it's just trucks that are driving by and I'm like, must sound like I'm really hungry or something every single time. Okay. So we've got our everyday hero shout out. Her handle is at her stay home life. This is Jody Ann, and she wrote in, after having my second baby 15 months after my first, I was really eager to get out. Literally just to get out of the house, get out of my own head, out of the postpartum fog, and I had the burning desire to go run. I've always been really into fitness, but never a runner, and I had this immense motivation to go run. I figured if I have 2 babies in 2 years, then I can sure go run a couple of miles too. I was so convinced that I signed up for my first 5K. I didn't know what was a good PR, so I Googled the average and made it my goal to run it in 40 minutes or less. I finished in 39 minutes, and it was awesome. I'm also signed up for a 10K this coming March. We're snowed in right now, so I'll start my training as soon as it warms up and I'll be outside. That is so awesome. That's wild. I love that she Googled what the average time is. I feel like that's so relatable. Like, what is the normal time to train for? Like, what am I aiming for? I feel the same way, to be honest.
I know. I love that she was like competitive enough too to be like, I'm gonna do what the average time is on my first 5K too. And I'm not even like a seasoned runner or anything. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna go for it. And she did. She ran 35 minutes.
I know,
So
that is so
that's so awesome.
It's like, it's so
So
cool.
funny.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say it's so funny how, after you've given birth 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, it's just like it's almost everything is on a scale of like, I've done worse. And it's like, could it really be worse than that last birth? Like, no, probably not. I'm fine. I can do it.
So true.
It's like this huge new like mental like just I can do it attitude that's like, yeah.
Yes, it's so
amazing
true.
ever.
I've always thought about like why that is. And I remember so distinctly going for a walk and I was super pregnant at the time. And I was like, you have no choice but to get this baby out. Like, there is you can't just like hold it in for when you're ready. It's like, there's no choice. So everything else that you choose to do, there is an option to not do it at the end of the day. Like, even if you do all the training for a marathon, you could technically just not go do it. But with a baby, there is no option and you have no control really over the situation. Like, it's like the birth plan, like you can go in with one and walk out with a totally different story to tell. And so it's so true. It's like everything becomes a scale of 1 to birth.
Yes, exactly.
One to birth.
I know.
That is funny.
Oh my gosh, it's just so crazy.
Oh man. Well, how's everybody's week been? What have you been up to, Gabriella? Because you finished Chicago in October. Was that your last like big race, or did you have any races like closing that year?
Yeah, no, I finished Chicago and then kind of took a short break and just started to like wrap my head around what I wanted to do for 2026. So I already knew that Boston was on the calendar because I had to defer since getting pregnant. From last year. And so I kind of was like, oh, this, could be a fun year to get 2 marathons in 1 year. I've never done that before, just because babies and all that. And so I came home from Chicago and you know how you always do that thing where you're like, okay, I need one more race.
Yeah.
And so I put in for Berlin and I had a qualifying time for that. So I was like, why not? So I've been just like planning our little itinerary for Berlin. I'm super excited about the race, but also just really excited to explore Germany.
Yeah.
I've never been before. So yeah, other than that, just focusing on the girls and building my base back up. I didn't really stop running, can we ever really stop running? I mean,
No.
it's almost impossible to do, but, yeah, just, like, enjoyed some time with friends, just been kind of enjoying being in between blocks, but right now I'm in, like, week 4 of 16 getting ready for Boston, and, yeah, just been, like, braving the cold here in
I
Virginia.
know.
We just got snowed in for, like, 3 days straight,
Oh,
so,
that's
yeah,
hard.
it's been pretty cold here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Like, I forget, like, I used to live in northern Utah for quite a bit of our marriage, and I forget, like, just like getting out of your driveway is a process because you have to like shovel your driveway and salt the driveway the night before. It's like a whole nother task and chore on top of your daily task.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then to go run in that and train in that, like, props to you. I have so much
Yeah.
mad respect for like half the country right now.
I
Aw.
know. And having little ones. It's hard to
Yeah.
be, I will say, because like, it's hard to be stuck inside with little ones. When you can send them outside every once in a while, even if it's like 20 minutes, it like changes your
Yeah.
whole day, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, and they're, like, completely different humans, 100%,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
when they get
so
outside.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
It's
so
so
yeah.
true.
hard.
Yeah. That was me last year when I lived up like just 40 minutes away. It wasn't even the snow. It was that it was just so cold and so windy. And my
Yeah.
kids, oh my gosh, children don't care about anything, but somehow mine just really cared about the wind. And they were like, it's so windy. And so we'd be inside all day. And I was like, how am I going to survive this? So,
Yeah.
and we didn't. We moved.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I wish I could say I'm part of the, like, brave people I'm, like, seeing on socials right now that are, like, out running in the snow and stuff. I am way too terrified that I'm gonna, like, roll an ankle or slip
me
or
too. That
something,
would
I
be
don't know.
me.
So I just did a tempo workout. Like, I'd never do treadmill running. I
Yeah.
don't own one, so it would be super convenient if I did. But it's just more convenient to just go run. But, dire circumstances, I literally can't run outside, so I did a tempo yesterday on the treadmill. And oh my gosh, I can tell you honestly, I don't think I've been on a treadmill for like a year and a half, 2 years, I realized. And I was like, "Man, I don't know if I hate this or if I kinda love it all of a sudden. Like, wait, have I been sleeping on, like, the treadmill all of a sudden? I don't know." So, that's kinda changed me. I'm sort of feeling like a new woman. I don't know, maybe I'll be sneaking a few more, like, tread workouts in.
It's just kind of a perfectly efficient way to train. Plus, you can have control over your environment, like what you're listening to. There's a bathroom right
Well,
there.
it's just like I totally forgot, like, how, like, undistracted you are, like, you're not going places, like, you're staying in one spot.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was so much more dialed in on, like,
Mhm.
my, not, like, the pace per se, but my running form, like, like, efficiency-wise, I felt like I was correcting things as I was going, and, like, I could tell when I was getting too tight and I needed to loosen up because you
Mhm.
practically start stepping on the front of the
That's
Yeah.
the front of the
It's so
thing.
true.
And you're like, your arms are like doing this because
Yeah.
you're trying to like hit the bar that's right in front of you. So you're like, okay, back up, get your arms swinging.
I
Yeah.
know.
So that was like a good reminder too. Like it's nice to just dial in on some of the little, technical things and take a break. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
From the track.
It's so
I love
true.
that you mentioned that though, because I mean, it really doesn't make you less gritty. Like, I feel like if you were to
Mm.
talk to people that don't train on the treadmill, they would be like, "You did that on the treadmill?" Like,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
is a mental grind. Like, when I don't do it consistently and I have to hop on there for a workout, especially like longer tempo runs,
Mm.
it feels like you're on there forever. I'm like, it's only like I'll cover the screen so I don't have to see the mileage. And I'm like, it's only been a mile. Like, how? How are we only at a mile and I have 3 more to go? It's
So
it's
true.
crazy. So, anyways, I think there's definitely pros and cons to both. And that the fact that you're still showing up during the winter season when you could have every excuse to like hibernate or choose to be a down season, you're not. So that's pretty impressive. So,
Oh, thanks, girl.
well, Olivia, so you're in a speed block. You mentioned
Yes.
your speed workout,
Yes.
which looks so fun.
No.
I want to hear like your update, like what you're thinking about it and how you're feeling, because you've been in like marathon mode for like training season after training season.
You're like literally since the day I met you, it's been
Yeah.
nonstop. training seasons. And yeah, it's just, I think it's really nice. It's hard because I miss marathon workout. Like
Yeah.
I do, because they are such a different challenge than now what I'm doing. And so it's funny though, when I look at these speed workouts, I'm like, 2-mile tempo, what?
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because they are technically in the same heart rate zone that he gives me tempos at when I'm in a marathon block. Well, in like base building, because I will say I haven't done a tempo run in a while. Because it is shorter, it does give you the opportunity to push way harder, because it's like, well, it's only 2 miles, so what can I do within that time? But it's just so funny because I was like, okay, if I run 6-minute miles, that's only 12 minutes of work. That versus being like, it's only 16 miles at this pace. It's such a different way of training, and I'm like really trying to lean in and just have fun with it versus being scared of it or anything like that. It's been fun. I'm really excited. Like, I'm hoping that this half I'll be able to like kind of blend together what I've done with all my marathon training plus the new speed work, and kind of see some new paces in there, even if it's for like 4 or 5 miles, right? Like, just trying
Yeah.
them out, and in a race environment should be fun. And then, if I feel like I need to dial it back, that's totally fine. But at least if I expose myself to it, like in that environment, I'm like, okay, I did it for 4 or 5 miles at this pace. Then hopefully next time I can do it for like 6 to 8 miles at that pace and stuff like that. So eventually I'll bridge the gaps. But it's so new. It's so scary because I'm like, am I going to fly off the treadmill? I've never even put my treadmill
I
on this
know.
pace. And then when you don't, it's like, well, was I always holding myself back? Like,
Yeah.
it's just so funny to like put myself, I guess, in these different positions. But it's like I was just never given these workouts before. So it's just fun. It's exciting. But yeah.
It's really cool that you're leaning into it, because like it could be so terrifying to like do
Yeah.
something new that you aren't used to, and then
Mhm.
like be like, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I know it's
Yeah.
so short, but it feels like it's so aggressive that you're like, I don't even know if I can do
Yeah.
that. And then you do it, and it's like this added confidence level that's like slowly stacking to the point that like eventually, like, I'm sure those are eventually gonna become your mile repeats by the end of this year. Like,
Mhm.
that's the craziest part about it, right? Is like, what is gonna be your 400 pace or your 300-meter hill sprints, like, that's gonna translate to something so much bigger down the road, and you're gonna look back at these workouts and be like, "Why was I afraid of
I
that?"
know.
Like,
I had one
it's
singular
crazy.
800, and I was like, how hard is it gonna feel if he only gave me one? Like,
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
and I was like, how hard? And then it's funny though, like once you put yourself in those positions, your body does start to crave it a lot more. Like, can I do it again? Can I replicate it again? Because also it's so hard for one rep, but then you do have downtime in between. And so it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the difference versus like these long, extended, like 8 miles at marathon pace. And so I think that part is really, it's just fun to try a different side of it. And I'm also like, oh, if it hurts so much at this pace, think about what that I have been stuck in that 6:30 to 6:36 marathon pace for a very long time, I feel like. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even know. Like, it's funny because I DNF'd at OC, and then I did Ogden, but I didn't perform. That one was just like to mentally get out there. Plus, then I did Chicago and I still didn't really get my goal. I'm like, I feel like I've been stuck in that same marathon pace for a very long time. And so to finally just kind of get out of it, even if it's at a shorter distance, has been really nice. Sorry, I've been talking about this for so long. Unfortunately, Shanna
No,
hears my voice notes like this all the time.
I
But
love it.
mostly,
Yeah, me too.
I think it's
And it's
mostly,
almost it's so relatable. It is. I think
yeah,
everybody
Yeah.
gets to that place where you feel like you're stuck in a pace.
yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even know
Yeah.
other people really felt that way, but I feel that all the time.
Do you? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's crossed my mind like I mean, like, will I always ever just be a runner that's like from here to here? Like
Yeah.
I think that all the time. But like,
Yeah.
I'm still just new to the world of
Yeah.
like endurance running. So like I want to believe that the answer to that is no, and
Of
I'm gonna
course.
work hard to find out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I am, but I think right now I'm really like I'm gonna keep talking about it as much as possible, and I know it might get annoying at some point, but it's more just that if like I love the marathon, I love it so much, I love the everything about it, and I also hate it just a little bit. And I just if people feel that same way and then start to get stuck. and that if you want to take a break from it, that it's okay, and that it's really important to go and hop into like a speed block or something because like
Mhm.
I don't have a track background. But I
Mhm.
also see all these people that are getting times that I really want that do have a track background. And so I'm like, I think I need to play catch up on that part a little bit. And this is
Mhm.
what it's going to look like as a mom of two, doing this way later in life than
Mhm.
being able to do it in college years and stuff. So, uh, I think that's why it's exciting, but also that it's okay to step away from the marathon and hopefully in December I'll show up and with a massive PR and something to show for it. So that's the goal with it, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Shanna? How you feeling?
Um, well, we can just roll right into her bio.
Oh my gosh. After I just talked for 20 minutes about running 1-800. Sorry.
I love it
See?
so much. It like makes me so excited for you because I cannot wait to see that you see this like part of you that like has always been there but just needed to be developed. So to me, I'm like, oh, like she's totally has speed. She just has to find it, you know? So it's just fun to like see you try new paces, and I cannot wait till it's just for extended periods of time. So I could talk about this for 20 minutes
Yeah, I
too,
know.
but no, but training has been good. So I finished the half marathon on Saturday and I haven't ran since. So that's why I'm like, there's nothing new over here. I will go run today at
Mhm.
some point. I don't know if it'll be, I don't know. I go back and forth. I'm like, do I attempt the stroller run pregnant? I'm like, that sounds awful. Or if I'll just hop on my treadmill and get some miles in and just see how my body feels after having a few days off. But yeah, it's just been really interesting to like feel like I have goals, but I don't have goals at the same time, and just trying to embrace like where I'm at, but also know that like it's all gonna be okay down the road. Like
Mhm.
everything's going to add up as long as I am consistent in small ways. Like it feels really weird to like look at your training block or your weeks and like see such minimum time on feet, and I'm always like, am I doing enough? Is this gonna translate? Like, is this even adding up? Like, would it just be beneficial for me just to not show up at this point? But I think it will. I think it all like evens out when you're pregnant on top of running that low
Yeah.
mileage. It kind of equates to more, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like it's hard to get out of your head sometimes while you're in the thick of it and be like, is this even worth my time showing up to run X amount of time on feet? That
I
feels like that
know.
used
I
to be
get
my
that.
warm up, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. But you've been doing like bike ride too here and there and stuff. So it's more just like
Yeah.
keeping up habits and yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Gabrielle,
keeping up, like, with your friends too, like,
yeah.
one of my favorite things when I was pregnant was just to go out on some easy runs and, like, catch up with friends, and it was
Yeah.
really just running became in that season for me, it just became, like, more of, like, a social thing and, like, getting to, like, feel, like, sweat a little bit and, like, feel my heart rate go up a little, and, like, for me, like, that just, like, scratched the itch, and honestly, like, we need it, we can't help it, like, I think our bodies kinda just crave the endorphins a little bit, and that's
Okay.
okay.
It's so
Um,
true.
but yeah, I honestly, I don't think you can go wrong. You're doing it, girl.
Yeah. I just need to find slower friends. That's the problem. My friends are too fast.
Oh
I
my
can't keep
god.
up with them on an easy run. No, it's actually really cute because like my husband and I like we actually are matching up a lot more these days. And so I'm like, you know what, this is kind of fun. We can catch up to like old times before I like was actually training like this. Most of my marriage, like I would just go out and run whatever, or I'll go train a half marathon with him and just run easy with him and push the stroller along with him. And now I'm like, oh, well, I can go back there and do that again because it's like it's actually perfect heart rate zone for me at this point. So it is
Yeah.
really funny. Like feels really weird to like have your friends that are all runners, but they're only getting faster, and you're like, I'm too slow for you right now. I'll see you in like a couple
Yeah,
months. I'll see you on the other side of postpartum.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
I will say I thought I had a little bit longer with you doing
No.
speed work. Like it's just so funny because I got this workout this week and I was like, oh, I would normally be like, can you pace me on these? You know, do you want to run this
No.
with me? And it's just funny because I mean, I think you're just like not in that zone right now. Like, also,
Yeah.
I mean, you literally just came off of a half marathon, and you know, like we really do have to respect that your body is in overdrive right now and stuff.
Mhm,
So, you
Yeah.
know, and I do want you to also just like veg out a little bit. Like, pregnant,
I
that's,
know.
you should enjoy pregnancy as much as you can. Like, it, you know, I don't know. I'm all for like whatever version of pregnancy you want. If you want to sit on the couch the whole time, do that. If you know,
Yeah.
if you want to go for runs, do that if it feels good. I spent my whole time, I think, on my Peloton bike, and yeah, like,
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's me too. Oh, yeah.
that's so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, actually, that's the perfect segue into your
Yes.
story because, yeah, let's dive in. I want to talk about your pregnancies and your running and big
Yeah.
PRs right now. So,
I
I
know.
mean, big for me, but
I'm so curious to hear though, like what your pregnancies are like. So I'm
Mm.
excited to read off this bio and like dive into that because 6 months postpartum, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, you did some huge things so early on in postpartum. So, okay, here we go. So we have Gabriella here today. Her name is Gabriella Smith. She's a competitive distance runner, high school cross country coach, public relations officer, wife, and mother of 2 daughters. She wears all hats, you guys. Her 2 daughters' names are Ella May and Isla Ray. She balances elite athletic performance with motherhood, a focus on family, her faith in Jesus, and a passion for serving others in all areas of her life. Gabriella really began her distance running career in college at Liberty University. What began as cross country and track slowly grew into a love for longer miles and the quiet discipline the sport teaches. After becoming a mom, running took on a new meaning. She found her way into her half marathons and marathons postpartum, discovering that endurance looked different, but no less powerful after having kids. At age 28, she is a mom to 2 little girls, um, 9 months and 2.5 years old. So is that their current ages right now?
yeah,
Oh my gosh, girl. I have so many
I
questions.
know. They're the best ages.
It is so fun. 9 months. Like after 6 months is like my favorite phase because they start
Yeah.
rolling, their personality comes out. But who are her biggest motivation and favorite people to share her love for the sport and competition with? So far, every half and full marathon Gabriella has raced has been less than a year postpartum until this year when she takes on the Boston and Berlin Marathon. For Gabriella, running is about showing up with gratitude, faith, and resilience on both good days and hard days. She enjoys competing across roads and trails, staying curious about what her body can do, growing closer to God, and modeling a healthy, joyful relationship with her sport for her daughters. Her hope is to encourage other women, especially moms, to chase big goals while embracing the season they're in a safe and purposeful way.
Wow. Okay.
I know.
I know I have so many. I'm like, where do I start? Because you do have significant running history before
Yep.
becoming a mom, but then you've achieved so much since becoming a mom, which actually wasn't that long ago, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, when you look back at what changed for you after becoming a mom, like what was it that clicked for you that you were like, I'm going to take this even farther?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people say I remember when I was pregnant before I had even had my first and I hadn't really got to experience being a mom yet. And people would say, you become a new person when you're a mom. You become a new person. You become a new person. I probably heard that about a million times. And it used to make me so mad. Because, I wanted to maintain, especially like with sport and competition and, my hobbies and different, all kinds of areas of life, right? I was determined that those things were gonna, like, carry on with me, and, you kinda you learn for yourself in motherhood, at least the first time around, and then you kinda relearn it the second time around, I guess, but, you learn that you don't necessarily become a new person, you just learn how to do things in a different way, and, you know, it's not even that you feel like you sacrifice so much by becoming a mom. It's really that you just get a whole new perspective on things, and you experience things, like, from like so many different lenses, like I feel like I experience things just by like watching my daughter learn things for the first time, every single day. And like, when I'm watching her like kind of fall in love with running just because she sees me doing it and like, finding joy in getting out and having my running shoes and my running tail and just like running, running, running. She just, they watch you and like they pick up on joy and emotions and they want to be a part of it. And so for me, I've just found so much more joy in the sport, getting to share it with my family. And it wasn't something that I needed to like give up or sacrifice. It's just something that has looked a lot different, than it did before. I could go to the gym anytime I wanted, or like, I have friends that run, which I love running with like folks that, aren't even in the same season because it's like it kind of makes you feel young again sometimes. But like I love, like, seeing, like, "Oh, they're going to the gym," and I'm just like, "Yeah, man." I don't even remember what those days were like. Like, an afternoon gym sesh, I'm like, "Wow." I have to, like I have to literally drag my body off the couch or off the bed at, like, 7 p.m. at night or early in the morning if I'm gonna, like, get a weight room session in, which I know you have to get those extra things in, but, yeah, it's all different, right? So I've enjoyed it more. It's made me fall in love with the sport even more, and I know that you guys probably agree.
I'm curious if you could take us back to your college running, right? So you ran cross country and track. Were you a high school runner as well? Were you a club runner as well? I'm curious, like your childhood going up into high school, into college, like what did that look like as far as like movement? Like, were you in the sport of running or were you playing any other sports? Kind of give us like a little bit of background behind that.
Yeah, yeah. Little background, but I'll keep it short is really I was very into soccer. I love sports in general, but I really liked soccer. We had a great program in my high school. I grew up in Pennsylvania, Southern Columbia, and so was my high school. And so I enjoyed that a lot. And I unfortunately one of our coaches passed away. His name was Frank Fulmer. And I just kind of lost my, like, connection a little bit when that happened, and I just all of a sudden wanted to try something different. So at the time, my health teacher was the cross country coach. And every single year, they'd always be like, "Hey, when are you coming out for cross country? When are you coming out for cross country?" So my senior year of high school, I went out for cross country and I just like got to meet a whole different group of girls. And it was just a whole different environment. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the people, the coaching staff. Um, I loved, like, the independent competition, like, that's, like, such a unique thing about running is that it can be team-oriented, and then it can also be super independent, and I just love that part. So I really I enjoyed that one season. We ended up, winning districts that year, which was a really cool experience, and then went to states. I didn't by any means, like, smash any records or do anything crazy, but that one year, like, ignited in me, like, "Oh, yeah, I like this." Like, I found, like, my spot. And so, I was, like, determined, "Okay, I wanna do this in college." Like, I think there's a lot more in me than just what, 1 year, can do or 1 season, not even a full year. So, anyways, I ended up at Liberty University, which was, a really cool just God intervening because I was supposed to go to a different school in Pennsylvania, Slippery Rock University. They're like a D2 school. And yeah, I just, my parents were like, we just really don't feel at peace with you going, and they really wanted me to consider Liberty. And so I went to Liberty and actually like toured the school after like we did like a day at the Penn Relay, as you guys are familiar with. And then they surprised me and like darted me down to Virginia right after the relays were over to go visit the school. And so we're on campus all day. It's gorgeous, obviously. And then I would go down to the track. And at the track, there's like this big plaque where they have all these names of like their top times on the track and all that records and all. And I looked at the times and I was like, ugh, I could never do this. I am not coming here to school. I'm going to be a little fish in a huge pond. I'm going to get totally just like lost in the dust of everybody. Like I am not coming here. No shot. But you know, God is so cool. He just like, he knows that he knows what we're capable of way beyond what we think we're capable of. And, you know, he provided a way for me to get there. So, I found myself, you know, at preseason at Liberty, and I just really fell in love with first of all, I had a great coach, Rebecca Ricksecker, and then, you know, I just got to be a part of this team of girls, and it totally transformed my college experience. So, again, just tons of community that came along with the sport, and I loved that. I loved getting to be, for the first time in my life, like pushed by a bunch of teammates. And so to like experience that was awesome. And yeah, and then after college, I didn't really expect to continue to pursue like I guess not a career, but like I didn't expect to seriously pursue running as like with goals and all that. Until really after we started having kids. You know, I kept up my fitness and I've always loved running, but I think I don't know. I guess, you know, different seasons of life. Like we were talking about, you know, it's okay to like take a break from goal setting for a beat and like just enjoy the sport for what it is. And I don't know, I guess maybe that God used that time to just like rejuvenate me. I don't know. But you know, within that time we got married, we moved to different places. And then we finally got settled back here in Lynchburg, which is actually the hometown of my school where I went to school. So I find myself back in Lynchburg and we've got babies now. And, but like, I know the lay of the land here. Like, I know all the good trail routes. Like, I've got all like my pick of the litter, like my favorite tracks in the area. And, yeah, it's, you know, anyways, it was kind of a no brainer. I just sort of fell back into it. And I did one half marathon and was like, "Oh, whoa, that was fun. I'm definitely doing a full." And then kind of lured my husband in by saying, "Hey, there's this really fun one out in California. Do you want to go for a beach trip?" So I mean, he was easy to convince to get on board with it all. And he's been super supportive. So anyways, then first marathon, incredible experience. Went out to California and like genuinely had no idea what to expect. Like I wasn't going for like any specific time. I just genuinely wanted to see like what does that 16-week block of training translate to for a marathon time. Like I had no idea. And I had to like surprise myself. I got a 3:05.
Whoa.
And they did not have a lot of fast people there that year apparently. So I ended up coming in first, which was just like
Was it OC Marathon?
the Orange County Marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that totally makes sense because I was like 3:05 was it in 2024? 2020?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay,
We are
yeah. Because I was supposed well, that's the one I DNF, but I remember looking and the first place of 2024 was a 3:05. That is crazy. That's so
yeah.
cool. I can't believe that was your first marathon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
It
wild.
feels
Oh
like
my god.
forever ago now,
I
but
know, 2020
yeah.
really does feel like forever ago, but that's huge. That is
It
so
was an
cool.
incredible experience. Gosh, I loved California so much. It's just like if you could just
Yeah.
choose a place to run. I did something called altitude camp when I was in college for like an internship.
Mhm.
And I just got like a little taste of running in the mountains out there and everything. What I
Yeah,
would give to go back.
that's so cool.
But
Oh.
definitely not something that you can really do with kids. So I'm bookmarking it for like, I don't know, 10 years down the road, but I will
Yeah.
find myself back there. I swear to it.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. We're like, we have these huge goals and it's like a lot of people that we watch like even that have kids, they have just a different lifestyle or, however it's been shaped for them to go and do these speed camps and altitude camps and it's like it's just not a thing in our life that's going to happen, but maybe one day, we'll
Yeah.
we'll be there with walkers finally. We finally made time.
Hey now, we are young, ladies. We
I
are
know.
young. I don't want to hear any of that. We've
I know.
got so many years. Hey,
We do.
people peak in their 40s all the time.
It's so true. Well,
So just speaking that into fruition here on the podcast today for
yeah.
all of us.
Yeah. Okay, so were you running in between the time when you were getting married and from college to married to kids? Were you running like consistently or was it still in your life or did it kind of take a back seat?
Yeah, no, I think I've always been that person where it's like, "Oh, when can I sneak in, like, go for a run?" It's
Mhm.
just like my form of, like, my favorite form of being active, and I love going places. I love being outside. I just love to move. So, like, it's
Mhm.
always been a constant for me. I can genuinely say there's never been a time in my life where I've been like, "Oh, I'm so tired of running. I just wish I could take a break." Not I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, not really. I know that you girls can relate. I have friends that are just like they would hate, to hear me say that. So I
Yeah.
don't just, like, go to the grocery store and, like, tell people these things, obviously, 'cause
Yes.
people
Uh,
literally would hate you, but, you like everybody has that thing, for us, it's
yes.
running, but everybody has that thing where it's just, like, it's not work, like, it feels so
Yes.
good. Maybe not always in the moment, like, obviously, it's hard sometimes,
Yeah.
but, it just always feels good, to do it afterwards
Yeah.
at the very least,
Yes. Definitely.
yeah. So,
What
always been my constant.
what did your training look like through your pregnancies? I'm curious to hear about that because I think you did races postpartum with both, right? Is what it
Mhm.
sounded
Yep.
like. And they were pretty fast races. So I'm curious, like, just for our audience that's listening, especially, I mean, I'm pregnant, so I'm like divulging every pregnancy content I can because
Yeah.
I'm like, give me hope. But, I'm curious what your pregnancies looked like, both of them, and kind of just like what movement looked like during that time.
Yeah. For me personally, I didn't do any big races with either of these two pregnancies. I'm trying to think, did I race? Oh, okay. So we've got like some local races, the Virginia 10 miler, if you know that one. I have ran that like 2 years in a row, both pregnant. But they were just really more for the fun of getting out there with friends and like being a part of my community here in Lynchburg. And so that would, like, help get me up to do my mileage in the morning and things, but, as far as really training during that time, honestly, both pregnancies, I really just focused on the birth being, like, the thing that I'm, like, training and, like, prioritizing my energy for. So, like, the running is kinda like a bonus. It's really just, like, I don't wanna call it selfish, but it's just for me, Like, it's not for the baby, it's not for anybody else, it's just for me. So I did a lot of Peloton biking just because, you gotta stay active. They say when, you guys know, if the more active you stay during pregnancy, the better on all aspects of birth and everything. So I just had a goal of wanting to stay active. I didn't want to lose too much fitness. But I didn't do any speed work. I didn't do any tempos. I didn't like push paces. Like I just like got out and ran. And honestly, the thing that I think I challenged myself more on, and I did so much better job of it with the first kid than I did the second, just because when you have a second, obviously you're just chasing around the other one. But, with the first one, I think it helped me a lot with coming back, for a first ever marathon, was doing a lot of, like, Pilates, like, rehab, like, pelvic floor stuff, focused a lot on core strength and just, um I think that's really to me, it's always felt like my, like, center of gravity has been the hardest thing to bring back, and that plays out in, like, tiny little injuries, like, right before Chicago, I was nursing something, and I'm so blessed I got to, get in touch with some really knowledgeable PTs that were able to help trace things, and every single time it always comes back to, like, well, it's because for 6 months, you were running with your hips facing this way, and so, you've been sometimes your body doesn't actually know that you're not pregnant anymore. You have to like retrain it to go back to doing it the way that it was before. So Anyways, I guess training wise, I think just more so preventative and like preparation. The tiny little things is really where I focused my energy. And then, I just tried to stay active, wanted to keep running as long as I could. I think for the first pregnancy, I ran for until like 30 weeks. I didn't really make it all that long because it just really started to hurt. So I stopped early. And then for the second one, I made it quite a bit farther, but there were like some runs where I'd be going out with friends and I would just like feel this pain and I'd have to like turn around and like that sucks sometimes. But um that was kind of I it was that's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't have any like goal races, cuz I was like if I knew that if I was like pushing myself to a race, I probably would have pushed through it, and I didn't want myself to do that. So, but everybody knows their own limitations. For me, that was mine. Um but yeah, I mean, it was so fun to still jump into some races and like have no expectations, like the 10 milers and stuff. Pregnant and like, hey, what a badass thing to do. You run while you're pregnant.
It
I
is.
one that I really loved, I was super early on in pregnancy, and this is actually funny, is I did it was the Virginia Beach 10 miler. Loved that race. It was so fun. Another kind of excuse just to get to the beach. And we took our toddler for that one. And I remember like feeling pretty great. I was pretty early on. I think I was like 16 weeks. And my time wasn't anything, I don't think, spectacular. I don't remember what it was. But the thing that I remember not being prepared for was like all of the smells of like the greasy breakfast, like
Oh,
beach food that they would be cooking up like on the
oh
boardwalk.
gosh.
And I was like, oh my God, I didn't prepare. I did not think that that was gonna, I mean, it had me feeling so nauseous.
I
It's
bet.
just,
Oh my gosh, pregnancy nose is so real.
oh, it's
I'm
so
having
bad. He's so bad.
flashbacks to like Thanksgiving and onions and being like,
Yeah.
stop, I can't.
Yes.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And adding a
Yeah.
race on top of it. Absolutely not. Oh my gosh.
Ugh. Yeah, so the
Ooh.
little things that you don't really think about, but
Um,
anyways,
yeah.
yeah,
I am
it
so
just made
curious
pregnancy fun.
about your first marathon. How old was your baby when you did that one?
Her birthday is May 13th, and
Mhm.
then the OC marathon was, like, the 5th that year.
Oh, it's
So,
year.
she literally was about to turn 1, and she actually took her steps in the airport, like, on the way.
Cute.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So, she was, like, all of a sudden, like, walking a little bit in California, which we were, like, kinda not prepared
yeah,
for, but it made it so fun.
that is
It'll
so
be
memorable. That's cute.
Yeah,
Oh
it'd be
my
cool to
god.
tell her that one day.
Yeah. You're like, "I was about to run my first marathon and you took your first steps."
Yeah, yes,
Oh
exactly,
my
exactly.
gosh. Um,
Super
that
important.
is so I mean, it's pretty unbelievable that like under a year postpart or yeah, under your postpartum that you did your first marathon. It sounds like a lot of your running has been rooted in community. Like, every time you talk about certain stages of your life, you're like, and I was out running with this friend and I really like the people. Did you have people that were able to give you guidance on how to run a marathon postpartum or anything? Or were you kind of blindly going for it?
Um, unfortunately, I was just completely blind lamb, like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this," and I did it, and I just didn't was stupid, was dumb, and I would never encourage anybody to do it that way, but, I guess I just I was curious about the sport, and I
Yeah.
just let the curiosity kinda, like, take me where it did. And then after that one is when I was like, "You know what? I wanna perform, like, I wanna see what I can really do with the marathon."
Mhm.
And so now, like, training for, like, for example, Chicago, I was much more intentional with, like I said, working with PTs and, doing things like mobility, Pilates work, banded, resistance stuff,
Mhm.
just kind of making sure that things were kind of going back quick, like, naturally the way that they're supposed to.
But I mean, 6 months postpartum for Chicago too, so that's I really wanted
That
to
was lofty. I don't know why I thought that that was a good idea, but thank
I mean,
God that it worked out okay.
I'm just so curious about what all that looked like, or I don't know, Shanna, if you have a more specific question about that, but yeah, I'm so because
Yeah.
1 year postpartum is super impressive, and for your first, but I also know like when you do your first marathon, it's like we'll see what happens. But this is like you knew what to expect a little bit more, but also, yeah, I'm just so curious.
Yeah, I guess I want to know kind of a little bit like how your postpartum looked like delivery. What was delivery like for both your kids? Because just giving our audience like background, we have so many moms that have gone through like C sections and all sorts of very
Mm-hmm.
very traumatic, but also just different deliveries. And then what did your buildup look like? So, like, when did you start running for the first time, postpartum? Maybe we'll focus on your just most recent one, because it's probably kinda hard to, like, both, like, pivot back, and it's been 2.5 years. I always hate when people ask questions.
I
I'm like,
know.
I
It's like
was so
so
sleep
far back.
deprived, I don't even remember what I did. I think I ran at 5 AM, I can't remember. But yeah, I'm curious, so with just this recent one, since it was so fresh, it's more fresh in your mind, like, what did your comeback look like? Did you start running at 6 weeks? Did you start running, like, the week after, like, you gave birth? Because everybody's so different, and
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
all about not shaming here, like, if you ran 7 days postpartum, like, I pray to God that's me, like, I hope that I could go run walk 7 days postpartum and start those little run walk intervals and start building my way back up, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think give us a little bit of feedback on that because 6 months, I'm trying to think like 3 months is when people really start getting like that. Okay, body's starting to come together, core starting to slowly make its way back to each other. And I think rhythm is just starting to begin 3 months postpartum. And that only leaves you 3 months till Chicago. So I'm so curious, like, what that built up looked like. And training wise, like, were you following like a plan? Did you find a plan online? Were you following an app? Because I don't think you had a coach then.
Mm-mm.
And just yeah, because 258,
Mhm.
258 from a
Yep.
305 to a 258. It's like that's a big deal, even if you're not postpartum, right? Like shaving off a few, and once you get under that sub 3 barrier, I think people don't realize like it becomes a lot harder to shave like 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
Right.
Like you're looking at a totally different pace range that becomes very aggressive on the body. And it's like it takes a lot of like dedication to really find that rhythm and have your body adapt, but also the sleep deprivation. Were you breastfeeding? Like all of
Yeah. Oh
that, like
gosh.
you were balancing a full-time job outside of a full-time job, which is marathon training. So can you walk us through like what was
Yeah.
your delivery like with your last? And what did postpartum like? When did you start running? What did your postpartum look like building up that six
Yeah.
months?
Okay. So I guess starting with delivery on the second one, again, very blessed. With the first one, I got the epidural and then it didn't work. So like it was really like ugh of an experience. But I thankfully I mean, I don't wanna, like, be too MI, but, like, my body didn't take on too much trauma for that one. I did not have a C-section with either kid, and then with the second one, I, of course, was like, I want the epidural this time, and I want it to work right away, but unfortunately, when we got to the I got to the hospital and, the contraction stalled. They wanted to send me home. My doctor said, no, let's keep her. And they broke my water and unexpected, but like I ended up having the baby like 20 minutes later. So like it just like happened really fast because I was walking around like really dilated for like weeks like prior to going. Yeah. So and I genuinely think just because we already touched on it, I think it was because of staying so active throughout, like, doing squat positions and like running. Like, I mean, baby was like down and ready to go. I really do think it helps a lot. So anyways, thankfully it happened really quickly. I didn't have enough time to get an epidural. So had to wrap my brain around that within like 10 seconds. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just kind of like we talked about, after that, like the birth experience, it's like everything is weighed on a scale of like, what did you say, Olivia? Birth to
1 to birth,
zero, zero to birth.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I just thought, what's 6 months? And if I have to, if I had to if something would have happened like a C-section, I do not in any way think that a 6-month bounce back marathon was gonna be realistic. There's just such a and, that's the thing about pregnancy is it's so unknown, you know? But for what happened with me, it, worked out, that I was able to recover pretty quickly. As far as, I've got the baby in my arms, loving all the cuddles. I went back to running pretty quickly. Like it was way within 7 days. Like how you just get so cooped up in the hospital for 3 days and you're just like, "Oh my god, I'm going to die or suffocate or something."
Yep.
And we just like I had to get out. And I don't know why my husband didn't like stop me from going out and running, but he didn't and I was fine. I have a lot of nurses in my family, so I had a lot of people whispering my ear about uterine prolapse. But
Mhm.
again, like that's again the benefit of doing all of the pelvic floor stuff while you're pregnant,
Mhm.
so that your body's a lot stronger, like immediately as soon as you start getting back. So I felt pretty good. I probably put a little bit of risk on the line, by going back as early as I did, but I just missed it and I didn't go crazy. So for me, I was able to be back, within 7 days, easy peasy. And then, yeah, from there, I just sort of started to get my base back, it was just really nice I think that we underestimate how much like doing a little bit when you have like 65 plus pounds of extra on
Yeah.
you, how much that actually keeps you maintained. And then, you add in like biking and things that you can do that's like less jarring on the belly when you get pretty big. And I don't remember feeling like crazy out of shape, honestly. So like you can totally maintain fitness. You ladies have done it throughout, and then that just makes it so much easier to get back. So I don't know how the months worked out, but I've always done like a 16-week block pretty much. It's just worked well for me. So like if it's not broke, don't fix it. That was kind of like my my motto. So I guess that means I started in like I don't know, 16 weeks before October. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. And then, I know you had like some follow-up questions to like the thing, but I hope that gives a little bit of insight as to like my delivery and how it worked out that it was able to go so quick. So, for the listeners that are on, I mean, it can totally happen, but for me, I think what made it work was that there was like zero pressure. Like I was signed up for Chicago, but like thank the Lord for people out there advocating for things like the deferral program is, I knew that I knew that there was always an option if my body could not do it. I did not have to try to force it. And so there was no pressure. It was just really like letting curiosity lead the way and like um being open to like seeing what your body can do. And it's really cool. God made the body so amazing that we can like go have like give birth, like see new life come into the world, and then do something so
And
crazy
then
as to
go
run
crush
20.
a freaking marathon. You gotta say it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Go
It's so true.
fly over
Yes.
26.2 miles like you didn't just grow a baby for the last 9 months.
So true.
Oh.
I want you to know there's zero shame here. Like I hope our audience knows like we bring so many different stories. Some that are like there are a lot different postpartum outcomes and that's no shame to your story or the person that had a different experience and I think
Mhm.
just reminding people that it's not a comparison game like anybody that has multiple kids too will know that like the postpartum comeback the training you even talked about how your training was different with both pregnancies and how one was you were able to extend it a little bit longer, the other one you weren't, and how you pivoted and how you adjusted. And so I think it's just very important that comparison is never going to be the answer.
Mm.
But I loved that you were able to get back and you were able to lean into curiosity because I think there is so much pressure as moms that like it needs to look like this. It has to
Mhm,
look
yeah.
like the guideline, but it's like it is a guideline. It truly is at the end of the day, it is a guideline. And I also love that you talked about that you focus on Pilates, your core, things like that to really help bring like the gravity and like even strengthening those ligaments that we're going to have a lot more time like time on feet that we're going to have a lot more pressure under pressure for extended periods of time. You were focusing on those little details and even though you had some little flare-ups going up to it, you were still working with PTs. Like you were doing everything in your power to make it a healthy return, and I think that's so beautiful that you had that experience and there's no downplaying to that. Like it is a blessing, but it took so much dedication and so much discipline for you to see that through. Like I'm sorry, pregnancy training is so hard. And like I wish I wish a lot more women felt confident enough to share that because I feel like there's still a lot of shame around running pregnant and like why are you doing that and blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah, right? There's a lot of opinions out there on that. But it does take a lot of sacrifice. And the fact that you still found time with a little kid to still show up and train throughout pregnancy, the nausea, the fatigue, the changing belly, the weight, all of that is
Mhm.
shifting, the hormonal imbalances, I mean, you name it, there's so many. And it did bring you to a very phenomenal time, which was your second marathon, and you ran a massive PR. And I think it gives a lot of, hope. I think it gives a lot of hope to me, but I know it will give a lot of hope to other listeners that are curious, like, okay, well, pregnancies looks different. I look different as an athlete. And that's
Mhm.
such an adjustment mentally for us runners. It doesn't matter what caliber runner you are. You could be a 5 hour, 6 hour, never run a marathon, and just knowing that your weights even shift in your strength training, the way you have to
Mhm.
modify certain movement, like I'm on my knees 24/7 with like all these moves that I do for strength training. And I'm like, I could do that on my feet, but the center of gravity changes, right? And so there's so much shifting in pregnancy that
Mhm.
you kind of lose a little bit of who you are as an athlete. And I love that you just discuss how you just continue to pivot and pivot and pivot and that it does pay out. Like it really truly does. It may not be 6 months for somebody, it may be a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But if you continue to show up, the consistency is what brought you at that Chicago finish line. And I think that's something that we can all relate to is that there's no way around it. Like the consistency is what gets us the goal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you kind of recognize it as like pivoting because that's really, I mean, that's what we have to do all the time as moms, like constantly. It just feels like we're always pivoting around our kids and our kids' needs and even the husbands and whatever else, right? But you know, the other thing too is like, thinking about how as runners, we get so just invested because we care so much and we work so hard. We get so invested in the sport that sometimes it can become like an identity sometimes. And, especially through these seasons where it's like your body is changing so much and you have to like allow yourself the grace to be okay with it, and to not be disappointed by like what comes across as like fat, like short time, like slow times or, blah, 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 because your body is like prioritizing other things like creating a human at the whatever. And for me personally, that's been, making sure that my identity is not rooted in the times, my performance, that sort of thing. I've really tried to always keep running as like something that I love to do, not so much like the thing that makes me who I am. And for me, that's like keeping my identity rooted in the word of God because, when I read the Bible, I see that God says that I am deeply loved, I am protected, I'm cared for, I'm valued, and I'm valued so much that like I believe that God died for me. So like to me, that is a constant and it allows me to like pivot in all of the other, areas of life that like, you know, they're seasonal, you know? They all have highs and lows all my life long. It's gonna be like roller coasters. But to like be grounded in God's word for me, like that's the constant that lets me just like roll with all the rest of it, you know? And so that's really kind of what I think has been my strongest help through all of that change, and amidst setting goals for myself and having big dreams and aspirations and things. It's really having keeping God at the center because I know like He's where my strength comes from.
I love that. It it's such a beautiful way that it can have such a deep meaning in so many ways, and that it's okay to take it seriously because it came from such a deep place. Otherwise, it would have never been placed on your heart to
Yeah.
pursue something like that. I am so curious about just talking about goals. When did it become part of your mindset to maybe shoot for a sub 3, or like when did that happen? Because I can honestly when I was 6 months postpartum, I was running 11-minute miles. Like, there was not a chance that I was ever gonna run sub 3. And so I'm just curious, like, were you were you like, "This is the goal I'm gonna go for from the get-go?" Or were you like, "Oh, my paces are, like, really catching up here." Like, what did that look like? And because 6 months postpartum and going sub 3 for the first time are not stories that you normally would hear in the same breath.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, kind of an easy answer. How can you not get like 305 and be like, "Oh, I totally want to get
Yeah.
under 305?" You know,
Right?
it's like
It's so true.
whether it was like completely obnoxious and lofty or like slightly realistic, obviously that had to be my next goal. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I felt like the 305 gave me the confidence to, if I can get to 305, like I didn't feel like the training plan that I had, which is like essentially was like a copy and paste from like Runner's World. I have a
Yeah.
subscription to Runner's World. And so I didn't really know a lot about the sport of marathon training yet. I just kind of like blindly followed this like, I run 3 days a week, I bike 3 days a week, and I take 1 day of rest, and, I just did what it told me to do, and, the thing says sub 3, so, like, why wouldn't I get sub 3? I don't know. I just
So
kinda,
so
um
that was on
yeah.
3 days a week? Or
Yeah, I,
wow.
pretty religiously, just because with kids, like, I always knew that I wasn't gonna be able to do it, like, the most optimal way. Like, obviously, ideally, you'd wanna be on your feet, like, 4 or 5 days of the week, but with kids, like, for me, it's never really been an option to do that. Um my husband also works out, and so I try to always prioritize, like, his time, like, for him, it's just, like, lifting weights. I say just lifting weights, that's important too, but I always try to prioritize his time just as much as mine, like, I don't, like, so he has his 3 days of the week where he gets up really early in the morning when the girls are asleep, and I have my 3 days of the week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and, of course, Saturday morning long runs because 'cause they're my favorite. And those are my days that I get up before the girls wake up. And so like that's what's worked for us. And the Peloton, I mean, we cannot downplay cross training. My college coach really believed in cross training. And she kind of instilled that in me, especially like through injuries and things. And so that's really stuck with me. And I do feel like if you have um the self motivator of like, you know, being committed to still getting in good workouts while you're cross training, like they can be super advantageous too. And they give your body a little bit of a break. I honestly would credit probably the number of biking miles that I got like during pregnancy and post pregnancy to what sort of helped to like softly allow my body to pick it up and pick it up and pick it up
Mhm.
because it's not quite as hard on the body, especially when you're carrying, like we said, like 65 pounds in like the
Mhm.
the pregnancy side of it. So that's typically kind of how I've always done it. And there will be a time in my life when I don't have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. That like I can't wait to see what happens when I can actually like get out and do like 4 or 5 days a week.
Oh my
But like that's not where I'm at right now. So
oh my
I don't like begrudge it,
that
you
is
know.
just wild. Also, can we circle back to you being like, "It said sub 3, so why wouldn't I get sub 3?"
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, right?
Gosh, on 3 days a week. I mean, I'm really blown away right now because I feel like
Mhm.
you have an unlimited amount of potential that hasn't even been tapped into yet. Like this is you getting started, and so I have a million questions on like I can't even wrap my mind around that. You got a 258 on 3 days a week and you're just like, why wouldn't I? You know, but I love it. I love that you had such trust in yourself because you have put in the work. And also you do have a significant history in the sport. And I recognize that wholeheartedly. And for our listeners that, maybe don't, that a lot of it is going to come from that you have been athletic for so much of your life. I do really want to hear what it was like to go to a world major with a 6-month-old.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, well, it was awesome up until like 30 minutes after the marathon. Um, but I tell people all the time, they make everything so much more fun. Like
Mhm.
carting her around to the expo and like dressing her up in her little like Adidas sweatsuits and
So
my
cute.
husband, kudos to my husband for he said that he looked down his watch. He had like clocked 10 miles that day, pushing her around in the stroller,
My goodness.
um, just to like try to catch me at a couple different places. So,
Yes.
in both marathons, I have like tremendously looked forward to those
Yeah.
few seconds where I get to see them and they're so
Yes.
excited to see me. Despite like how big the major was, she still got to like lock in on me and I got to like have that moment with her. I gave her a kiss.
That is so
Um,
cool.
and I got to see her on the course. So that was cool. But yeah, I mean, we do life with our kids every day. So like it almost feels like why wouldn't we,
Yeah.
at least try, to bring them and make them be a part of it. And at 6 months, I mean, they're not all that hard. They sleep and eat and, just
Yeah.
are just
What
excited
was
about what they're looking at.
like logistics like was she able to take a bottle? Because this was I just said at the beginning of the episode, like that was why I had to defer Chicago. My daughter would not take a bottle and we were like, how
Oh
are we
yeah.
ever gonna do this? Like,
Yeah.
and my mom was like, she'll just cry and then we'll wait for you. And I was like, I don't know how long it'll take me to run.
I
And
love your mom. She sounds awesome for being so
so
supportive.
she was like,
She's
I
like, "Honey, I
know.
got it. Don't you stress about that."
Yeah, I know, which
Love
it
her.
like is so funny just to hear from my mom. I'm like, really? You got it?
Yeah, really? I
But,
know.
yeah, so it's just so funny, and so I'm just thinking about, like, what it was like during that time, but obviously, like, logistically, you guys must have figured something out, so I'm just so curious what that looked like.
Yeah, by that point in time, she was taking a bottle. Now my little one now, she's the one with that I brought to, Chicago. She did not take a bottle for a while just 'cause I think she got so comfortable breastfeeding. So she was a little bit harder. So it was always just like a little bit like, "Oh, hopefully she takes it." But if they're hungry enough, they're gonna take the bottle. So, like, I try not to stress over it too much. And then the other thing that we kind of forget about too is like, if I didn't take her and then I have to pump just as much as I would be feeding her anyways. So it's like they have to go back to the hotel room and like get hooked up to your pump, which like I hate pumping. I mean, I think all moms do, right? Or is it just me? I don't know. I hate pumping.
Don't ask Olivia. She's a minority. She
I
doesn't get
personally
to
loved
say
it, but
anything.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a really good feeling when, like, you're on there for 10 minutes, you're scrolling on your phone, you get a couple minutes of peace, and then, like, you look down and you're like, "Whoa, look at how much milk I pumped." It's kinda like a little bit of a sense of pride there, so I get that, I do get that. But, like, for me, it sounded, like, way more freeing to just, like, have her with me so I can feed wherever, feed whenever, you know, instead of, like, having to keep going back and forth to the hotel room to pump. And to me, pumping is such a nuisance, but my daughter's not a nuisance, so, like, I don't know, for me, it's the lesser of 2, I won't say evils, but, So, it was pretty much just everyday life leading up to the marathon. Where it got really tricky, um, obviously, I had to pump really quick before I went into the corrals or whatever in the morning, and make sure that I got everything out because you got to make it for 3 hours. I hear and see that some people do actually pump during the race, but I was going for time, so I didn't want to have to do that, and I was pretty consistent. Like I knew she could do 3 hours without me, so or I could do 3 hours without like combusting, I should say. Um, and then I got to the finish line as soon as I got my husband. Of course, she was really hungry, so I breastfed her like right as I got out of the chute. But that I think is actually where it all kind of started to go a little downhill for me. Because I did not um, I don't think that I treated breastfeeding because I guess I've just been doing it for so long that you kind of forget like how big of a deal it is for your body to be producing sustenance for another, like not yourself. And so I kind of like took for granted like how that was going to impact my already like very unstable levels of like salt, water, electrolytes, all the things. And I felt so great at that finish line. It makes me so mad because it deteriorated so fast. Um, Anyways, I breastfed her, and then, we're walking around a little bit. I was trying to drink some water. Um, and I think that kind of took my levels somewhere that I just had never been before. And I wasn't prepared. I don't, it's hard to say what could have been, but like I do wonder if that could have been avoided by just bringing an extra supply of milk, not breastfeeding her for like maybe, I don't know, 12 hours or something, or at least a few hours until after I had finished and my levels had a chance to kind of refine themselves. Um, and also, I think fueling better during the race would have helped too. So, anyways, all of those couple of things that I wasn't really focused on. Like, I didn't take enough gels in my pockets that day. And I wasn't thinking about, oh, wow, breastfeeding in the morning and not having a lot of gels and then breastfeeding as soon as you get to the finish line, how that was gonna, all play together. And so, it's hard because I was thinking more so about her. I was thinking about, does she have enough milk? I was thinking about, is she going to be okay with Brennan? And I think as moms, we get into this like grind of always putting ourselves in the back seat. And sometimes with running, we have to be able to tell ourselves like, no, like you've got to shift your focus. That might be one of the hardest things of like being a competitive, runner and a mom or even just athlete in general, is, knowing when to make that shift, because you have to take care of your body. And for me, I kind of failed that day a little bit, so it was a little sad because I missed out on a lot of the celebrations. Had to go back to the hotel room, and I just felt like pretty sick. I couldn't keep any food down for a while. And I even ended up in the hospital and didn't feel better until they got through like 3 bags of like IVs. And then I was like able to eat some crackers, and I was like, okay, let's party. Not really, but yeah, it was an unfortunate, like, anticlimactic, we got to celebrate later when I was better. But it was a huge learning lesson for me, and I really I hope that helps some other people, like, prepare, because it's really those tiny little things, um, that are what make the difference as far as, like, your experience. And I didn't do it the right way, but I really hope that it helps somebody else. Um, and sidebar, have you guys ever done those Meriton goos that they hand out in the race?
The Martins?
Yes.
I
I've
can't.
Nobody told me not to do those. I
No.
no.
I can't.
I took 2 of them. I took 2 gels with me. And I think my thought process was, they're going to be handing out stuff left and right. This is a major marathon. They're going to have all the brands. Like, I'll probably find some Humas. I train with Humas. They're my favorite. They're like pretty natural, like chia energy stuff. So I took 2 of them and then I got out there. One of them was like a caffeinated like chocolate one. And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound great to me. So I like couldn't do that. I couldn't do that one. So I took the one and then, in the second half of the marathon, I'm like, okay, I gotta get some fuel in me. Like I know my body's gonna like start to tank if I don't put anything in it. So I took those stupid, I can't even pronounce them right. Um,
The
and
most.
I think that also created a problem. Again, wasn't focused about like my fueling as much as I was fueling. And I took 2 of those in in the last third of the race, like when I knew I really needed it. Um, and it was my first time my body's ever seen it. So
Oh
that
my
that
gosh.
didn't go over well either. So things to avoid, everybody
Yeah.
listening, things to avoid.
I am telling you, you have so much like untapped potential. Like when I hear you that you did a 258 while breastfeeding and underfueled, it mean like that and that you felt great at the finish line. You are like you have so many things that are gonna be going for you at Boston that this was like a
Mhm.
humongous learning experience for you. It's so crazy. Like, it's very exciting to hear it about, like, that you have learned like, could take this one race and learn so much from it, like and just recognizing, like, oh, it was the fueling and things like that. I mean, it's wild. I'm literally just hearing you, like, say all these things, and I'm like, "Oh my god, you are gonna make humongous strides." Like, um even I mean, we talked about the Boston course and stuff before we started recording, and it's like, I don't think that's even gonna be a thing for you. I think for you,
Oh
it's gonna
gosh,
be mostly
I hope not, but I
more
don't know.
I think logistics for you, like, getting your fueling dialed in and stuff like that, like, just and that your body probably will feel so different than it did at 6 months postpartum. Like, that's
Oh,
wild.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's all I could think is the fact that you're gonna be that much X amount out from being
Mhm,
postpartum, and you're only gonna feel more and more better from this
mhm.
point forward. I mean, naturally, that is what's gonna happen, and yeah, my mind is the same as Olivia's. I'm just like mind blown that you still only did it on 3 days of training.
I know.
Um, but I think I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I think people need to hear that there's multiple ways to run a marathon. And I think the biggest setback for a lot of moms of committing to that distance is the fact that they feel like they have to run 5, 6 days a week because they're seeing ex sub
Yeah,
elite runner, right? They're
right.
an influencer on Instagram or they're in their 20s and they don't have kids and they're
Yeah.
putting out all this crazy training and they're not giving back support of like, "Oh, I've been a runner my whole life. I don't have kids. I've had no breaks. I've been in the sport and I just continued on even post collegiately." And
Mhm.
so there's a lot of like lost details. And so a lot of
Yeah.
these moms that are comparing themselves to these influencers online, they're seeing as, oh, well, if they're doing that and they're running a marathon, I have to do that and I have to replicate that. And it's
Mhm.
not true. Like you did that off
Mhm.
of 3 days of running, but you also did a lot of time on your body aerobically through cross training, and I think that was honestly a huge blessing for you. I think it paid back your body in so many ways. I'm still mind blown that it worked. I am like, "Oh my gosh," like, I wanna, like, dive more in and research that a little bit deeper, but the fact that you were so smart with your postpartum comeback, you did 3 days of running, like, and you spent so much time making sure that, like, your body was gonna be okay and that it fit your season of life. That is such a healthy approach,
Mhm.
and I think that we have put so much pressure on ourselves to, like, go right back into as if this baby never existed, right? Like,
Right.
back into the chapter we were just in when we left the sport competitively, and it doesn't work. I found that out when I got back into running in 2022 and I was
Mhm.
6 kids deep. And I was like, I can't train how my 18, 19-year-old self. I tried and I ended up injured and I was
Mhm.
fatigued and I was tired and I could only run so many miles a week because I
Mhm.
was trying to train like I was 18, not a mom of 6 kids with a baby.
Mhm.
And I love that. I love that you highlight that. I am curious to hear, so you talked about your, breastfeeding. You breastfed all throughout this process of, like, going up to this race. I love that you mentioned that, hey, like, keep in mind post race, like this is what it looks like? Because I don't even think I thought about that because I have a marathon 7 months postpartum, and I'll be in that same grind. I'll be breastfeeding. Baby's
Yeah.
gonna need food right after, and I
Yeah.
totally saw myself when you were like, "Yep, just put that baby right on right after I cross
Yeah,
that finish line,"
yeah. I mean,
because that's how I
you're
am.
dying for a little relief too.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like she's hungry,
Yeah.
but also I was way full. Like I was like, please get this milk out
Yes.
of me.
Yeah.
But I love that you talked about that because that's something that I think it's a natural instinct as moms to immediately think about your kids. Like that is the first thing that crosses my mind over every distance I cross with my kids at the end of that finish line is right into mom mode. Let's go. Pass on the baton. Bye dad. Like
Yep.
and we just carry on with our day. And it's hard to think about the logistics of like taking care of yourself too, but
Yeah.
26.2 miles, whether you're breastfeeding or not, like that does put a detriment on your body. Like that, there's
Mhm.
a reason why people, even PTs and stuff, talk about the micro side, like the microbiology side and all the details of molecular and like what it does to your body internally and why it's so necessary to take a break after a marathon.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm curious, so post that, are you planning on breastfeeding up into Boston? Is that your kind of goal? Are you planning on weaning before then? And have you felt, even just now, kind of building a base again, have you felt a shift in how your body's feeling now that you're a little bit further out postpartum than you were when you did your base building just coming out of birth?
Yeah. Great question. I kind of started thinking about the answer to your first question before you even finished because I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. Probably should. Taking opinions for sure. I don't know. I think I have thought a little bit about the hormone side of things as far as baby number 3 potential. But as far as breastfeeding goes, I really would like to breastfeed her to get to the year mark, but I do know at the year mark you can start doing regular milk. So I think I'm just gonna let my body sort of naturally slow down on the breastfeeding side of things. I'm not gonna just completely stop dead on because I don't. It's hard to say what that sort of hormonal like drop could possibly how that might impact my performance when I'm used to so I'm not going to make any sudden changes before the race, I think. But I think being able to like lean into like just regular milk will be so nice. Like I don't have to one for one, pump and be her only source. And now she's eating food and she's a lot older now than she was then. Like she was eating puffs in Chicago. Like that's not much to sustain her. So anyways, I think that will be a lot more relaxed. Also, like I'm not taking her with me to Chicago. So she's gonna stay back with her one of her grandmothers, which shout out to them because they're amazing. Both my husband's parents and my parents, super supportive. Like I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the race day. Race day logistics would be really tough without having a good team at home. So that's important. But yeah, that's I think kind of like my plan as far as how I'm gonna handle that for Boston. Hopefully it plays in my favor a little bit. I think I'll probably be able to be a little bit more focused, I think. Having a 6-month-old in the hotel room was a little bit like, um, you know, can be kind of just tough, I guess. Not knowing if they're going to sleep and if that means you're not going to sleep or like how that works out. Thankfully, she was an amazing sleeper. So, yeah. And then, sorry, what was the second part of your question?
I think just like how are you feeling like even coming into like base building again for another marathon? Like how are you feeling in comparison to when you did base building really, really fresh postpartum? Like I'm curious to hear
Yeah.
if there's a drastic change or feeling that you're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think I would feel the major difference is honestly like I felt really fried after I would do my foot workouts. Like when I'd get to a certain number of mileage, like I don't know if it was like 10, that like my body afterwards just felt like I don't even know how to explain it. Do you guys have watched Twilight, right? So like you know how in the fourth Twilight movie she's gotten like bitten by a vampire, the whole thing happens, right? And then they did such a good job in the movie of showing like the venom working its way through her like brittle sad body. So that brittle version of her is kind of how I feel felt when I was training the whole time, like all 16 weeks. When the mileage got high enough, like it was like mountain. I swear to God, that's exactly how I felt. I remember after a couple of longer runs, I was like, man, this can't be good for my body. Like, I really got to slow down or something. Or I don't know. But I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. I just did it anyways.
That
And
was
then
such a good
tried to do a good
reference.
job.
A very good, like, visual reference, and now I'm never going to unsee it. It's so funny.
I don't think it has to be that way, but that is 100% how it kind of felt.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. Yeah, for that one specifically. And on this one, I'm like 6 months ahead of that. And so I feel a lot more like myself, like feeling really good after like getting some longer days in. Like it's actually kind of nice because I'm constantly like met with surprise. I'm only 4 weeks in, but I've been running now quite a few weeks in a row since Chicago, and it's just like it's nice to finish a long workout and be like pleasantly surprised at like, wow, I feel great. When that was your comparison, like, a couple months ago. So that feels good.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, definitely a big shift. That 6 months makes a big difference. A lot can happen in 6 months. So
Yeah, definitely. Are you still doing 3 days a week?
yeah. Yep, still doing 3 days a week. I still do three days on the 3 days on the bike,
I'm
3 days
obsessed.
on foot.
Awesome. It's just so
Um,
refreshing to hear, I think, like, I because we talk a lot about postpartum and what that looks like, and so much of it is even just finding the time, right? Like,
yeah,
and like that's what I loved about my Peloton was that it was
yeah,
so efficient. Like it's right there, and whether I was in the mood or not, I always got
mhm,
on it because once I was on, you're like clipped in. You're good.
yeah, yeah,
I don't need anything fancy. I don't need like the world's tightest sports bra or anything. That was like with running, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get these breastfeeding boobies all locked down. And
yes,
it's like, it's
yes,
so hard. Like the workout was always just getting dressed for it, where like cross training, it's a little bit more, it's just milder, like, but
yeah.
you're still getting so much of a workout. So I'm really impressed that you're able to do all of this. And I'm just so excited for what Boston is gonna look like for you.
Yeah, me too. I've been really hiking up the resistance. So like on my obviously like, I listen to one of the best Peloton instructors, I think, for anybody listening that does bike. He does a really good job of cross training where biking isn't your primary sport. Like he is a runner, like he's ran marathons, Matt Wilpers. Constantly giving out really good nuggets. I'm just like, man, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy him, but he kind of helped me, like he helped validate, I guess, my thought process of like, um, you know, if running is your primary, goal, like that's your sport, then like let's alternate your workouts so that you're not pushing on your hardest days on the bike, so that I don't push my hardest days on the bike so that I can push harder on foot. And so he's kind of helped to validate that. Um, that it has worked for me so far. And like I hope that I can continue to improve and still do that, at least for the season that I'm in for now. Um, so yeah, I mean, lots of like coaching wisdom and stuff on Peloton. People don't really, if you haven't tapped into it, it's awesome.
I gotta ask, like, what these workouts look like. I'm like about to make Olivia or I sign up to attempt this our next marathon because I'm like, how is this working? But it's just I think it's not even so much the 3 days a week with the 5 days of biking, like that logistically that makes sense because if you add up the time on your biking, it does correlate. Like it ends up being like I think 0.5% or half the amount of time, right? But if
Yeah.
you add it up with your run time, you're about where you should be as far as aerobically
Yeah.
of what you should be exercising, even just plainly on foot. So it does correlate. It makes sense. I think it's the time goal that I'm just like, you ran a 2:58 off of 3 days a week. Like, what logistically, those 3 run days, what do those look like for you? Like, Is it one easy, one long, one workout? And then I'm curious to hear about your 5 bike days. I might just trial and error this on my next marathon because I'm like, this is so fascinating to me. I just like I'm curious if it translates for everybody, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
then
don't know.
with your 5 bike days, are they all just like are they easy? Are they like at what effort are they at? I'm curious.
Mhm. So, typically, I mean, I'm pretty consistent every week, like, it's gotta be the same, and it's gotta be because of, really the kids and schedules and, like, you gotta find what works for you, and then once you get it dialed in, it's just, like, repeat every week. So for me, what I have found works best, is I do so Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are my priority run days, and they're my run days. So Tuesdays is speed work on the track. And then Thursdays is more like a tempo or like a longer fartlek workout. And I try to do those on like different terrain than just like the flat track. So I live in a really hilly area, so it's easy to find a lot of like rolling hills and stuff to do things like that. And then Saturdays, of course, are my long run days. And I found, especially in this last training block for Chicago, I used to only just do long runs easy, like for the Orange County race. Those were always just easy long runs, because I'm a social butterfly and I like to hang out with friends and talk with the whole time. But with this last one, I started, since I only get so much ground time, I started to kind of work in some little interval repeats and things into the long run too. So that feels like it gets me just a little bit more speed under my legs when I'm on my feet. And then the Sunday is my rest day. Um, so I'm very I stick to that. I don't do anything on Sundays. And then my bike days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They're the days that my husband goes to the gym in the morning, so somebody's gotta be home and man the house with the kids asleep. So, like, I do all of my stuff in the morning, so 5 AM, I get on the Peloton, and the Peloton workouts, I adjust based on what my track workout or my tempo looks like that week. So, like, if I feel like that they're gonna be harder, I really pull back on the biking stuff. Every now and then, if I'm really like I had a really hard workout, my body's pretty fried, I'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna get on the bike and like ride easy. But then you know how it is. You get on the bike and you're doing it for 15 minutes. You're like, all right, we gotta do something in here because I am bored. Yes, yes. But it's awesome because Peloton makes it so that, the coaches like they create like your 45 to an hour long like segment, and they handle all the logistics. I just go when they tell me to go and I pull back when not. I try to be mindful of like resistance versus cadence. Like if I have a speedy track workout that day, I'm not gonna bust the resistance through the ceiling because I want my legs to feel fresh. But then like on a Wednesday in between, if I'm feeling pretty decent, I try to do some like intervals and hills. I mean, I keep it fun. Like I scroll through, see what looks fun that morning, see what instructor I'm in the mood for. So I don't get too like in the weeds on like what I'm doing on those bike days, just so that I know I'm getting those like 45 to 60 minutes of like consistent aerobic work. And some of the ones that are my favorite is I like the like endurance zone training. So it's a little different than heart rate zone training, and that I think heart rate zone is like 6 zones, right? And then I know endurance zone is like 8, I think. So, anyways, I do a lot of that. It just kind of it makes the miles like challenging, but like, not so much that it's becoming like my primary workout for the week. So, and yeah, it definitely gets me exposed to a lot more resistance because it's at my fingertips.
Mhm.
So, I get to like work that in, and then, so that's pretty much how I do it.
That's awesome. So essentially your body is getting recovery. You obviously have Sunday rest day, but your body's getting recovery from those um like your speed work basically, cuz on the bike for me it's really hard to get my heart rate like high. So you're
Yeah.
yeah, like I can work pretty dang hard, and if I really push it, but if you're pretty mindful about it and just like following a class plan, like I think the highest mine will go is 150 when I'm not like actively trying. So you are still going into a decent amount of just active
Mhm.
recovery. and unless you choose like your Wednesday workouts, like you said. So, because I think that's where people would probably question, like, well, where are the easy miles and stuff like that? But you're probably also adding in
Yeah.
like warm ups and cool downs that are in your easy zone
Yeah. Oh,
to
yeah.
sandwich it all
Mm,
together. Yeah.
yep.
Okay. That is you
Yeah.
it's so funny when you say that you like to talk because I this might be one of our longest episodes ever, and I'm like, you would love a long run with us. Like, we would never stop. We would be out there for 4 hours. We would run 35 miles and be
Oh,
like,
I love it. Oh, well, if I ever find myself out in Utah, I'll give you girls a call
yeah,
immediately.
you would love it.
It's probably so beautiful. Oh,
Do it after I'm postpartum because I
okay,
can't do
deal.
35-mile long runs right now.
The only problem here is that logistically, it's probably always gonna be one of us that is pregnant, so we could possibly make it work in the next 10 years, maybe.
Listen, one of you guys bring a stroller and I'll push your babies, and you can be pregnant, I'll push your stroller, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, well, it was so cool to just hear like such a I was not anticipating talking about like your training like regime and like what that would look like. It's so different and I mean it kind of mirrors some of the other trainings that are coming out and people talking about a lot of cross training approaches. And it's hard because like as runners, I think naturally we'd rather just run,
Yeah,
but there
yeah,
is a lot of secret to the fact that, like, as a mom, your body has shifted so much. And so there is a lot of cushion there that strength training and cross training can benefit mothers as long-term like runners. So
yeah,
thank you so much for just like being so open about that and talking about it. I love just that you're kind of the person that's like fly by the seat of your pants. That's that's a lot of how I like see my running and like my seasons is like very just like it is what it is. I'm just gonna make the most of what I can. And I
yeah,
think the more we let go of control, the easier it becomes to adapt to what comes our way. And it makes it easier to like continue to move forward because as moms, like we've all had to adapt so many times. Nothing ever goes as planned.
yeah,
Most of the time there's some kind of wrench that gets thrown in our schedule. I know Olivia probably experiences that a lot with her husband and his type of work. And you just do. You have to pivot. You have to let go a lot.
Mhm.
And so I just really appreciate you being so open and talking about that and just having such a relaxed approach to your running. And I think it will be so inspiring to other moms to hear that. So
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
yeah.
It's so inspiring to hear your story. I love that you also just gave yourself the permission to dream big, and it also, I mean, in a very casual way of why wouldn't I go sub 3 by following a sub 3 plan? When if you heard my brain all the time, like, okay, well, I didn't perform on this one, so what's that gonna look like? Just the like constant, and you're just like, well, why not? And I love that though. And I think we see so much stuff about caution and caution and caution and just being so cautious as moms, and that we have to be just doing things a certain type of way, and you're just not too worried about that. Like, you very much are listening to your body, and even postpartum and pregnancy and postpartum, and it's really nice how you've just given yourself the permission to do that and like let
Thanks.
yourself trust your body. It's wonderful. And so
Thank
I'm
you.
so
Yeah,
happy.
and just that one thing that you said, Olivia, with kind of letting yourself, like, giving up some control. I can't agree with you more, like, I think that is so key for me personally too because, I think of that saying that's, oh, how does it go? It's essentially like run with perseverance and patience, the race that's before you. And, you know, I think sometimes we forget we set all these big goals and usually they're time bound and just like constantly remembering that like we don't have to control the timing. We can have all kinds of great ideas about it and we can pursue them, but just like knowing that, you know, God's timing is gonna be better than ours, and, whatever it is that you believe, I think just knowing that when things are out of your control doesn't mean that things are out of control,
Mm.
like, it's okay to, like, embrace the chaos a little bit, and we've got to in motherhood, at least just, like, a little bit, otherwise we start to, like, sacrifice joy, And so, thinking we've talked a lot about like being mindful of like comparison and like in motherhood, it's everything looks different for everybody in every season, and comparison truly is the thief of joy. So, like, we always just have to, run the race that is marked out in front of us. We may not know what time wise that looks like, but it's our race. So, like, it's going to be a good one, and whatever you accomplish or learn along the way, if there's setbacks, typically it means that you get to learn more. And sometimes it makes you pause for even better reasons than you thought. So, it's always something, this beautiful thing of running that we love to do.
That's such a perfect way to end this episode. I'm so glad that you shared that quote, because I think it's a good reminder for all of us in and outside of running. Honestly, it's applicable in and outside of running, just in motherhood in general. But thank you so much, Gabriella. I'm
Yeah, thanks for
sorry
having me.
this is a long one. Hopefully everybody has long runs to do anyways.
Yeah.
So this will be a perfect one to listen. But I think this one will be very, very inspiring to a lot of moms, just the fact of how realistic your training does look. So I just appreciate you being so open.
Yeah.
Thanks to our listeners who tuned in on this episode. As always, we would appreciate it if you could share this episode. If you listened to this episode and you found it inspiring, share a clip of it. We love getting people's stories out there. And we love that Gabriella is just a very relatable mom. And so, yeah, and we are looking for mom shout outs too. So if you want to shout yourself out, if you're proud of a recent accomplishment, it could be big or small. It could be running related or not. We are just here to shout out moms, and we love to have those submitted and be able to just like applaud you guys for what you guys are doing. So, but thank you everybody for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.